Hi,
Hello.
good to be with you again for our daily reflection on the YouVersion app, verse of the day, for Monday the 25th of May. And Jenny?
Yes, today it's taken from John 15 verse 13, a very well-known verse. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends.
And this is all part of John's long description of what Jesus said on that night leading up to his, or the day I suppose, for his betrayal
And crucifixion
and death. Yeah. And these are part of his last words to people, and this is a pretty well-known verse.
And if you think about all the things you might want to send to you or give to your friends before you're leaving on a long trip or
departing for a long time.
Yeah, this is part of that. This is his important messages.
Yeah, and he wants people to love one another. But he actually says it just in the verse before, that it's all about that people's joy might be complete. It's about how we as human beings are meant to live together, to enjoy all the fullness of what God has given us. And he makes the point. It's got something about how you give of yourself rather than what you take for yourself. And in our world today,
It's not like that, is it?
It's a really important message, because we tend to slip into selfishness.
Yeah.
I think it's all about us.
Well, and maybe that's what it was like for them too.
Yeah.
Tending to slip into selfishness is a human thing, isn't it?
Yeah. And Jesus at this point is reflecting on his own life. He's saying, my joy is complete because actually I am willing to give myself for you. He actually goes on to call them friends. And so he says, this is the heart of what I'm on about. I am giving of myself and about to give of myself to you so that you might know joy, that you might know what life is all about, that you might experience love. And if you're going to do that, take yourself out of the centre.
Yeah.
Make sure that others are the focus rather than you.
Yeah, and so that my joy is in you and your joy may be complete. So it's quite a lovely cycle of joy going around if you're giving of yourself.
Yeah, but if you turn the focus in on yourself and you're the centre of it all, by inference, you're not loving others, and by inference, you will not know joy. And I think there's many in our society today, particularly in our West, where it's become very consumerist, very individualistic. I think a lot of people have lost that joy in life.
Yep, and I think people, because we're all hunkered down, or a lot of us, in this COVID-19 era, we're becoming aware of that actually, because we're realising how much important it is, how important it is to be with other people.
Yeah, or just yesterday with the chat with people from our church, and they were talking about how, yes, it's nice to connect on Zoom, but there's something about being in the same place together that disciples each other, that encourages each other, that builds each other up, that we can give of ourselves to one another. But when you're in a house by yourself or just with your family, you don't
talking on screen. It's nothing. It's not the same. It's quite different.
And so I think we are starting to realise there is something about us and the way God has made us that we need each other. And I made the point how I really see that times before and after the service, rather than the service itself, sometimes some of the most important things we do on a Sunday, because it's in the getting together that we express what it is to be human beings, we express what it is to be church, and we can all give of ourselves and be encouraged.
And encourage one another in that process. So you're not talking about the Zoom church.
No.
You're talking about when we're physically able to
Absolutely.
meet, some of those important discussions and just connection with people that happens before and after, or sometimes during the service we can do that. But it when you're not able to do that, you miss it, don't you?
Yeah, and what's happening at the moment is people are being robbed of the opportunity to serve, to give of themselves. And that might be just cleaning, that might be being in front playing music, that might be serving tea and coffee. It could be a whole lot of other things. They're giving of themselves.
And they can't do it in this environment.
That's right. So getting together and giving something into that space, there is something that you get joy out of it. And I think that's what Jesus is talking about here. And this moment is causing us to think and rethink around some of these things. So what is it for you to give of yourself for your friends, for your neighbours, even in the midst of this restrictions, but thankfully as they're opening up, what is it going to be to connect with each other and to be an encouragement to each other and not think of ourselves, but think of them?
Yep, that's a good reminder today. What can you do today to think of someone else?
And to love, and so that your joy might be complete.
Catch you later.
Bye.